Get the latest on what's going on this earnings season, meets, beats, and more in Zach's Earnings Scorecard.
We're going to tell you what the score is on some travel and leisure companies here. Eric Dutram keeps his eye on the earnings reports, scores them all for us on the scorecard, right? At least the ones that pique your interest.
Definitely.
There's so many of them, you could never cover them all. But travel and leisure, this is the category that you're looking at here. It's a big category considering that we're into the doldrums of summer here.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of issues with the travel space with terrorism concerns, Zika virus. All those sorts of issues have really been weighing on a lot of companies.
Weather.
Yeah. Expedia reported last week, didn't really have a great report. Shares were down a little bit. So the rest of these companies in this space, it's going to be very important to see how they do and if they can sort of buck this trend of negativity in the overall travel space.
Sure. So you start out with Priceline?
Yeah, Priceline, very similar to Expedia. This company also operates in that online travel market. If we look to the chart here, though, we can see that the company has a great track record when it comes to earnings estimates. Excuse me there. We've seen the company beat estimates in each report over the last 5 years. Those shares have really been trading in that narrow range, in this 1,450 range to $1,000 a share. The company does report after the bell on the 4th. It does have a Zacks rank 3 and a D for its VGM score. Slightly negative earnings ESP, so that's not a great number going into this report. And given Expedia's negativity, it's hard to like this company, at least going into the report.
The next one is a company called Cedar Fair, is that right? I'm not familiar with this
Really?
one.
You ever been to Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio?
Can't say that I have.
Oh man, it's easily the best amusement park out there, but the stock, it reports after the bell on the 3rd, and this company is a little more domestically focused, given that a lot of its parks are in Ohio, or I think it has one in Pennsylvania as well.
Okay.
So it's not as impacted by these Zika worries and the broader terrorism concerns that we're seeing hit a lot of the international travel stocks.
Right.
So this company's been a little bit better performer. It does pay out a nice dividend for investors, so that's also a good thing. And if we look to the chart, it is a bit choppier when it comes to actual earnings reports. It did beat in the previous quarter, but it's coming off this streak of 4 straight misses. Shares don't really react too much to the actual earnings reports, so it's hard to really make a play on Cedar Fair ahead of the earnings. This is really just a dynamic company that operates as more of a REIT, if anything, given its very high yield, over 5%. So it does have a negative earnings ESP, which is definitely a concern for investors. But I think for the long term, this remains a strong play.
All right, then there's Royal Caribbean.
Yeah,
a familiar name.
Yeah, hopefully you've heard of this cruise company. They've been more impacted by the terrorism issues. They're sort of like airlines in that respect, kind of surprisingly. But if we look to the chart here, we can see this trend really being impacted in the recent price performance for Royal Caribbean. As we can see, shares were about $100 a share. They dipped down in this low 70 range, and they've had trouble breaking out above this $85 mark. This is despite a history of earnings beats and a pretty great track record overall. The company does have a Zacks rank 3 and a B for its VGM score, but I think these broader terrorism concerns are really going to weigh on this company. It's going to be hard for them to outperform, and they do have a negative earnings ESP, so that's also a knock against them as well.
All right, and then there's one more, TRIP, the ticker for?
TripAdvisor.
Okay.
Online travel review site. I guess is probably the best way to describe it. People can go on and say if they really liked a hotel or a specific company.
Right, and people in that industry who get written up about on that site, I can tell you, really pay attention to those reviews.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's very important for them. They're always you always see it plastered on their front door when they have a good review on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
So this company is also kind of seeing some of these trends of this broader travel worry. If people aren't planning on taking a vacation, there's really no need to go on to TripAdvisor and look and find out, what's the best restaurant here or the best operator in this market. So that's also kind of been a concern for TripAdvisor here. The company does have a Zacks rank 4, a sell, and it does have an F for its VGM score. Earnings estimates have come back a little bit. We're seeing a positive earnings ESP for this company. But if we look to the chart right here, we can see that estimates have really been falling over the last couple of weeks and months. This 2016 consensus estimate really plunging down, and same with the 2017 number. So, it's kind of difficult to really like this company going into the report with his Zacks rank 4, but it is encouraging that we do have a positive earnings ESP here.
All right. Do you own either of these?
I do own Cedar Fair. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of the company, so I do have shares of that one.
All right. Thanks for that. Don't forget, you can get more stock information, not only as it relates to earnings, but other stock information as well, always on our website, Zacks.com, and you can link to it right off the homepage. With Eric, I'm Terry Ruffalo.